my Malkin's moments. I have some great Malkin's moments for you. So many Malkin's moments across sports. Start in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers passed Brett Favre for the most touchdown passes in Green Bay Packers history. Brett Favre held the record with 442 for the longest time. And Aaron Rodgers now has 445 after the 24-22 win over the Cleveland Browns. But he threw the 443rd touchdown pass to Allen Lazard. He connected in the first quarter on his first actually offensive drive. And of course, it was only fitting that it happened at Lambeau Field on a day that Rodgers ended up throwing 3 passing touchdowns on the game, no interceptions, led the Packers to a 12-3 record, the best record in the NFL right now. And what was special was Brett Favre left a video message for Aaron Rodgers, a congratulatory message, which also had him saying, hey, the next thing you got to do is bring a Lombardi, bring a Super Bowl back to Green Bay, which was the message. But this is what's impressive when you look at Aaron Rodgers and his ability to attain this achievement, juxtapose Brett Favre. So Aaron Rodgers set this record in his 211th overall NFL game played, 204th game started. Brett Favre needed 255 games to achieve this with 253 starts for his 442nd touchdown pass. Now, obviously, times are different. Offenses are prioritized a lot more now than they were back then. But this is the key difference between these two guys. Brett Favre threw 286 interceptions during that span, which went across 16 seasons. Rodgers has thrown just 93 interceptions over his career. So he's achieved the same touchdown success as Brett Favre, with 3 times the fewer interceptions thrown. And that's something that's noteworthy. Obviously, Bart Starr was the first to set the record in Packers history with 152 passing touchdowns. But again, that era, they weren't throwing the ball that much. And it was just serendipitous that at the time that Brett Favre threw the most NFL passing touchdowns in the entire league, that was in 2007. He threw his 421st passing touchdown in 2007. 2007 was also the first time that Aaron Rodgers threw his first ever touchdown pass. That was when he backed up Brett Favre. He filled in one game. He ended up being the full-time starter in 2008. So major shout out to Aaron Rodgers, major achievement on that front. And sticking with the Packers, Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams became the kind of best quarterback wide receiver duo in Packers history. They have the most quarterback to wide receiver touchdowns in Green Bay Packer history. They set the record with 66. Now they have 67 and counting. They broke a previous mark that was held by Aaron Rodgers, and Jordy Nelson was the last recipient. And staying with the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, in his second year in the league, he passed Odell Beckham Jr. for the most receiving yards ever in the first 2 seasons of his NFL career. Obviously, both of these two guys are LSU Tigers, which is also pretty kind of coincidental. But you have Odell Beckham Jr., who had set the record with 2,755 receiving yards, which was a mark that he set in 2015 with the New York Giants. Now Justin Jefferson with the Vikings has 2,851 receiving yards and counting. He's obviously having a fantastic season, over 1,400 passing yards. I think he's top 2, if not top 3 in the NFL for most passing yards on the season, or passing receiving yards, rather, on the season. He's been having a fantastic year. And speaking of guys having a fantastic year, Joe Burrow also makes Malkin's moments. He set a Cincinnati Bengals record for throwing 525 passing yards in the win over the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. They ended up blowing out the Ravens 41-21. I don't really care that Lamar Jackson wasn't playing in this game. They swept the season series versus the Ravens. And here's the interesting thing. Joe Burrow is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 400 yards against the same opponent in the same season. This is the second time that he's torched the Ravens. He threw for over 400 yards. It's the first time specifically that a player has thrown 400-plus yards against the same team in the same season. He threw 417 yards in week 1, and he threw against the Ravens in a win, and then he threw 525 yesterday in week 16. He's the second. Well, first of all, it set a franchise record, this mark, in Bengals history, franchise history, surpassing Boomer Esiason's mark of 290 yards set in an overtime win against the Rams in 1990. In fact, 525 yards in a game for Joe Burrow is the fourth highest mark ever in NFL history. Norm Van Brocklin set the NFL record with 554 passing yards against the Giants in 1951. And Burrow is just having a great year. He's got over 4,100 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. The Bengals are 9-6. They're at the top of the AFC North right now, third seed overall in the AFC. We'll see how the rest of the playoffs shakes out for them, but that's a major, major achievement. And final two Malkin's moments, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the NFC South Division for the first time since 2007. They beat the Carolina Panthers 32-6, and the win gives them back-to-back 11-win seasons for the first time in franchise history. And again, this is a team that's been depleted. They've been ravaged by injuries. They've been without Jason Pierre-Paul for the majority of the season. No Antoine Winfield Jr. right now. No Levante David with a sprained foot. Chris Godwin gone with a torn ACL. Mike Evans with a hamstring injury. No Leonard Fournette with a hamstring injury. No Giovanni Bernard, who's on IR, I believe. And yet they're still able to do this. And now Shaq Barrett even got injured. So this team is really thin right now, and they're still managing to win. That's impressive. And final Malkin's moment, LeBron James, shout out to him. He passed the late, great Kobe Bryant to become the all-time leader in Christmas points scored with 422 points. Kobe had the record with 395. He also passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points as well. The Lakers lost to the Nets 122 to 115. But LeBron did his part. 39 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. He's played on Christmas for the 15th straight year. The guy's just always featured every time. And he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points scored on a single date in NBA history. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had 413 points all-time on December 26th. And that was surpassed by LeBron James, who finished Christmas Day on the 25th with 422 points on a single date. Not to mention, it was the 13th time in his career that he has scored 20 or more points on a contest on a holiday. Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, and Oscar Robertson are tied for second with 10 such games. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for joining me on Morning Joe every single Monday and Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 to 11 Central, and 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page, Morning Joe with Jonah Malkin. Follow me on Twitter at Jonah Malkin or at morning_Joe_. Instagram, JMalk97, TikTok, Jonah Malkin. And as always, have a lovely rest of your morning.